Hey everyone, welcome to the show. If my video looks weird today and other videos today look weird, it is because the recording platform I'm using is having some technical difficulties. So they are mirroring my video, whether I turn it on or off. Anyway, that's why everything is on the wrong side to what you're used to seeing. That's why my head looks like it's cocked. So I'm going to try to like cock it the other way to compensate. But anyway, um, yeah, I didn't change my setup. Nothing's wrong. It's just that, well, there is something wrong. Anyway, so here's what I want to talk about. I have another focus group to bring to you guys. As you all know, I am a big proponent of focus groups. I think that they are a better barometer than polling because you actually get to ask questions, you get to ask follow-ups. You get to really dig down deeper into the nitty gritty of what's going on. So I find them very instructive. I find them very informative. Of course, they're always small. The size isn't very large. It's not, it's not an accurate representation of the overall electorate and what's going on through the entire country. But it does give you a good snapshot. And what I find most important about these focus groups is you get to see a trend, you get to see patterns. And so it tells you something. And so, for instance, last year, everybody was, oh, Kamala Harris is a shoo-in, she's going to win, blah, blah, blah. Well, I was watching and listening to all of these focus groups, and I was not so sure. And I told my audience, you know, I, I'm not 100%. Like, this is not a done deal. I'm not sold on this. It wasn't until Ann Seltzer's poll came out of Iowa that I felt more confident. What still wasn't 100%, but I felt better about the election. Other people were just looking at polling and hearing what they said on mainstream media, and they thought that it was a done deal. And I just never thought that. Did not believe that that was accurate, because in every single one of the focus groups that I was listening to and watching, there were at least one or two people who were pulling away from the Democrats. So these were, swing voters who had voted for Biden in 2020, and they were not happy, at least one or two in every group, if not more. And, Biden didn't win by that much. He won by, thousands of votes in a few key states, and through the Electoral College. But, if you peel off just a little bit, and that's why I keep telling people now, you want to be aware that, you don't have to take all of Donald Trump's voters. We don't have to win every single one of them. You just need to peel away a few here and there, and you can win. The midterms will be great. 2028 will be great. So this is why I like them. Anyway, so this particular, or there were actually two. So these two focus groups that I'm going to talk about today, these were in swing states. However, these were not all swing voters. So these were states that have, traditionally gone back and forth to Republicans, to Democrats, blah, blah, blah. They can't make up their mind. They keep looking for a port in the storm. And these were all Hispanic voters. So again, not all of them voted for Biden. Some of them, but not all, just very few. So this particular group of people, or two groups of people, were more likely to be on board with Donald Trump's program and platform and what he is doing. I'm just going to set it up that way because it's kind of disheartening, but I want you guys to have the facts, accurate facts. I want you to know what's going down and how people are feeling. So again, swing state voters, so meaning Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, states like that, Pennsylvania, and all Hispanic voters. Now, some of the most uninformed people that I've heard of. or I've heard from. Total right-wing bubble dwellers. I'm just telling it like it is. I mean, these people just are not up on what's going on in the real world. They only know what they know. So 3 out of the 7 did vote for Biden in 2020 and then went for Trump in 2024. There were 13 people in total. So 10 of them did not vote for Biden. 10 of them are, pretty hardcore MAGA, I would say. So they asked them their party affiliation. This is another indicator. 7 of them said that they would consider themselves to be Republican. 6 of them said, I'm independent. Not a single one of them considered themselves to be a Democrat. So another red flag. They then asked them, what is your top issue? What is, really getting at you the most? What in the news is, really getting your attention and you're upset about? 2 of them said the economy. 1 said Iran. Another one said foreign wars, so not just Iran, but in general foreign wars. 1 said immigration, another said budget bill, 1 said immigrant crimes, which she was just hysterical. I mean, she was like hair on fire. The world is coming to an end. Immigrants. I mean, this woman was a joke. Another one said the protests against the Trump administration was their number one issue. Unbelievable, right? We're on the brink of nuclear war with, possibly 2 countries. But yeah, the protests. Another one of them said Medicaid cuts. 1 said deportation, so kind of the same as immigration, but not necessarily. And then 1 said inflation. They also asked them, and this was, again, very telling, very disturbing, what emotion do you feel when you see Donald Trump on TV? I'm going to run through them. Like I said, setting you up. This is very disheartening. Glad, satisfied, confused, at ease, relief, betrayal, gratefulness, good, sympathy, hopeful, trust, relieved, pride. Now, I mean, here's the thing. Here's how you know we're not dealing with the sharpest tools in the shed. These people don't even understand that question. They explain it very thoroughly, very succinctly. They explain, look, I'm not asking you what you feel, or I'm not asking you what you think Donald Trump is feeling when you see him. I'm not asking if he looks mad or if he looks unhappy or sad or whatever. I'm asking what you feel when you see him on your TV screen. What is the first emotion that you feel? These people don't get it. Like, they give the worst answers, and then inevitably the moderator has to correct them and re-explain, just go over it again. Like, that's not what I'm asking. Right? Like, they'll say strong. And he's like, you feel strong? They're like, no, Donald Trump is strong. He's like, no, I'm not asking what you think he is or what he's feeling. So again, not the brightest bunch. Just keep that in mind as I go forward. They then ask them, do you feel more anxious, less anxious, or about the same about the economy as when Donald Trump took office, or before Donald Trump took office, I should say. 8 out of these 13 said that they feel less anxious. 2 out of the 13 said they feel more anxious. And 3 out of the 13 said, I feel about the same. So this is very different, because when I'm listening to the swing voters, there are more of them that say they feel more anxious, and more of them that say, I feel about the same. So this group, again, MAGA group, very partisan, they're all on board. They truly think that Donald Trump is going to take care of the economy, and that, everything is better because of him. So take a listen to what a couple of these people, though, a couple of the ones who said, yeah, I feel more anxious. Take a listen to what they had to say about why they feel more anxious.
I feel like in Michigan here, there hasn't been much of an improvement. Like gas prices been anywhere from 2.99. Right now they're 3.36. So it's not like it has been a significantly lower. And also like the price of eggs, dairy, meat, produce has not gone down at all here. I feel like it's gone up and then has stayed there for us. But also too, like seeing like I think some of the bigger businesses closing, like Joann Fabrics going out of business. Now they're talking about like at home. So still seeing some businesses that are somewhat big or been around for years are going out of business.
Everything costs more, simply put, at least here in Vegas. Price of milk, eggs, everything else is still going up, 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 up. And we're looking at situations here where I know I like to have a beer. I like German beer, stuff like that. We may be in considerations to why more of these places and importers not wanting to foot the blunt of the tariffs, so you won't be getting this anymore. So enjoy your American piss water. So it's just very limiting. It's like, we have a land of, we don't realize how well we have it because we don't have these reciprocal tariffs and everything else. Everything they want to ship it over here, everything else. Great. We have a great variety of stuff. Say adios to that. I never wanted that. I never wanted that type of thing, but supposedly it's to replace income taxes. I just think it's all a pipe dream to rally up more money. So price has gone up and everything else. It just seems, and then as far as the stock market, it's gone to hell in a handbasket. So I'm not sure where other people are seeing the differential in that, but maybe I just don't have the Trump bias that other people have. It's just not getting any better.
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, a couple of them get it. A couple of them are unwilling to go along with the groupthink and just make excuses and, think that Donald Trump is perfect and doing everything wonderfully. And the funny thing is, and this has happened now in multiple groups, this has happened even in swing voter groups, they always ask the follow-up question: who do you think is responsible for our current economic conditions? This is really funny because inevitably, some of the people who say, oh, the economy is great, I'm happy, I think it's doing much better, those same people will say they blame Biden. So that happened again in this group, or in these two groups. 4 people said they blame Biden. 2 of them were women who said, oh, I think prices are going down. So, I mean, I know they're not supposed to do this. Like the moderator's not supposed to take a position. They're not supposed to be partisan, but I wouldn't be able to help myself. I would be asking like, okay, so are you saying it's because of Biden that prices are going down? Like, are you giving him credit for the prices going down? Because they make no sense. These people absolutely make no sense. Now, I will say 8 out of the 13 said, no, I blame Trump. And then one of them said, I blame both of them. I think they're equally responsible. They also asked, has Trump made fighting inflation a top priority? 7 out of the 13 said yes. But then they asked, okay, can you explain? Can you tell me, some of you who said yes, he's making it a top priority, can you tell me how? What is your evidence that Donald Trump is making this a top priority? One of them claimed that Donald Trump is drilling more oil. Yeah, let me remind you all that Biden was drilling more oil than Donald Trump did in his first term. So, I mean, if that's how you bring inflation down, really? I mean, come on. And then 2 of them cited the tariffs, which just mind-blowing that these people this far into it, we are now, 6 months into Donald Trump's presidency, and these people still don't understand how tariffs work. They still don't get that tariffs increase prices for the consumers. They're, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And when you press them, or when the moderator presses them and asks them, like, okay, can you explain how that works? Like, what does that do? One of these guys was like, oh, well, it's going to bring down our national debt. How does that lower inflation? What does that do for inflation? and, and again, they don't understand that, okay, who's paying that debt down? It's the business owners. It's the small business owners. They are the ones who are getting the brunt of this, and then they're passing some of it along to the consumers. So, I mean, again, not the brightest bulbs, defective bulbs. They also asked them, do you support, oppose, or don't know enough about the tariffs? If you don't have an opinion. 8 out of the 13 said, I support the tariffs. 5 out of the 13 said, I don't really know enough. After all this time, they just have not availed themselves of any information. They also asked, overall, you may disagree on some things, you may agree on others, but overall, if you had to say, I approve or disapprove of Donald Trump's second term, which one is it? 11 out of the 13 approve of what this man is doing. It's just mind-blowing. 2 out of the 13 said, no, I disapprove. And here is what one of them had to say about what he disapproves, or why he disapproves of Donald Trump's presidency. Take a listen to this.
Again, where did all this go with day one? We end the war with Russia, Ukraine type of stuff, broker a peace deal. You're still sending money over there, still sending arms and infantry. Here we go into Iran, everything else. Oh, we won't get involved with that conflict today. He just came out saying, yeah, maybe we'll need to get involved with that conflict. He is completely the opposite of what he was in 2016. I love that 2016 energy, drain the swamp, everything else, but this guy is bought and paid for. He won't get another term anyway. He can only be 2 terms as president. What he got left to lose. Also, about the AI centralization of powers through his own private company and his buddies with Palantir and all that type of stuff, he basically wrote in us a couple of weeks ago that they cannot, states are not allowed to individually regulate anything for 10 years in regards to AI. It all comes at a federal level, siphoned through Palantir. I'll have to give it to him, though. He is a good master of distraction. Look over here. What are we doing over here? And it's like nobody pays attention over here. So that's why he's this complete antithesis of what he was in 2016.
So they also asked them, if you could do it over, would you still vote for Donald Trump? 10 out of the 12 said yes. Only 2 said no. And here's the thing. In every single focus group that I have listened to or watched, none of them, even if they say, I would not vote for Donald Trump again, which is very rare, almost none of them say that they would actually vote for Kamala Harris. So these 2 that said, no, I would not vote for Donald Trump again if I had it to do over, they said, I would vote third party. So Democrats still, I mean, if they want to peel some of these people away and actually get, affirmative votes for the party, they need to do better. They need to choose better candidates that people are going to go for. And it has to do with, not talking out of both sides of your mouth, not flip-flopping on your positions. And if you do, explain why. Don't just go from A to Z and you don't have an explanation on how you got through the alphabet. Right? So anyway, they also asked them, and this is a key too, and this was the same in the last focus group that I reported on. They asked, do Democrats prioritize immigrants over U.S. citizens? Every single one said yes. This is a problem. This is a huge problem, guys. And, we can try to make excuses and we can try to say, oh, they just don't understand and they don't know and blah, blah, blah. But as I explained in another video, the Democrats have an issue with certain states, especially. I mean, overall, it's an issue, but I'll give you an example from my state, from California. The Democratic government in California has approved Medicaid funds to pay for immigrants' Medicaid to give them health care for free. You can get away with that. You can do that if your American constituents are also getting health care for free. But what you can't do is have people paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month, if not thousands a month, for health care for their family for just the premium, then coming out of pocket with copays, deductibles. I mean, you cannot burden the American people with outrageous, unconscionable amounts of health bills, health insurance bills, and then give undocumented immigrants free health care. And I understand the reason behind it. I mean, I understand, these are human beings, right? You want to make sure that human beings don't suffer, that they don't die unnecessarily, that they don't have more complications down the road that then's going to cost more money, so they don't end up in emergency rooms where that's going to cost the states more money. I get that. What I also get is that at the same time, people are seeing this and going, you know what? I'm barely getting by. I am barely scraping by. And I'm spending how much money out of my paycheck, out of my, take home, and barely making it, unable to put food on the table every night for my kids, unable to afford my rent. I'm, living in my car and working full time because I can't afford to rent somewhere or to buy a house. I'm never going to be able to afford to buy a house, get married, and have kids. That's just, even if I wanted to, it's not in the cards. When you have Americans looking at that reality, and then they see immigrants coming to the country and they immediately qualify for free healthcare, that pisses people off. So, my solution isn't, oh, let's take the healthcare away from them. It's let's give everybody healthcare. And this is what's pissing off California residents in particular, because when Gavin Newsom ran for office, he said that he would push for a universal type of healthcare program for California residents. But then when the legislature put the draft together and tried to pass it, Gavin Newsom said, no, I'm not going to sign this. We're not doing this. So he completely and totally flip-flopped on his voters. And, people who, again, are just paying through the nose for healthcare, but then gives healthcare, free healthcare, to immigrants. And now California's government is out of money. We are running a deficit. So it has to make sense and it has to be fair. This is why Medicare is never going to go anywhere. This is why even Republicans will not touch it. This is why Social Security is not going to go anywhere. Republicans even are not going to touch it because everyone in the country receives it. And so it is popular. Even though Medicare, is a socialist program, even though Social Security is a socialist program, it's just like fire departments, it's like police departments. Those are socialist programs. Those are something that everybody pays into and everybody benefits from. The reason nobody wants to get rid of those is because everyone benefits. Nobody feels left out. Nobody feels like they're getting the short end of the stick and immigrants are taking something away from them. So we have to fix this. And another thing that really struck me in these focus groups was they asked them to describe both of the parties. So they asked them for traits or characteristics that describe Democrats. Again, I'm going to read through this list, and it is disheartening. They said woke, posture, don't take action, delusional, unrelatable, confused and chaotic, disorganized and no plan, incompetent, divisive, which I find hysterical, and I mean, just all around, every comment. I mean, that wasn't all of them, but all around, every comment was negative. Here's the problem. Democratic voters are saying a lot of the same things. Democratic voters also see the Democratic Party as weak, as feckless. You know, you get like the bare minimum of an effort. And I'm not saying, I don't, let me preface this. I was going to cite Cory Booker, right? Like what he did, it was impressive. I absolutely will not take that away from him. Standing up there, you know, keeping the Senate floor for whatever it was, 25 hours or however long it was, and talking and standing there and not even taking bathroom breaks and no food, no water, you know, it was impressive. It was. But that's the bare minimum that most Democratic voters are looking for. Because the guy is a centrist. He is not a progressive. He has never pushed for free healthcare. He has never pushed for free childcare. He's never pushed for, you know, Medicaid for all or, you know, increasing the minimum wage. To my knowledge, I don't think he has. I mean, he has not pushed for a lot of the programs that progressives push for because he is a corporate Democrat. Cory Booker, I hate to say it, love that he's vegan, but he is a centrist and he is a corporate Democrat who is funded by big dollar donors. And so he is not looking to make radical change that we need in this country. And yet, because he stood up there and called out some stuff about Donald Trump, you know, while also taking some of the Democrats' inventory, which I do too, but because they're not helping people. He's not calling them out for the right reasons. He's calling them out for the same reasons the Republicans call them out. So, you know, he's not doing the right thing by the American people and for the right reasons. But because, oh my God, he was willing to speak out and he did something. Like that's all it takes nowadays with the Democratic voters is, oh my God, if you do something. I mean, the bar is so freaking low for Democrats. It's really sad. But anyway, that's where we're at. So Democrats are saying this, Republicans are saying this, independents are saying this. They also ask these people, you know, what traits and characteristics describe the Republican Party. As you would imagine, it was all good with these people. Because again, these are MAGA people. So they said strong, unified, matter of fact, no sugarcoating, which is such a load of bullshit, sound viewpoint, representing American interests, which is just hysterical considering that they're the ones pushing for more money to Israel. You know, oh, where are you going to go visit first? Oh, let's go to Israel. You know, more money for this country, more money for that country, less money for Americans, less money for Medicaid, less money for SNAP, the food stamp program. I mean, unbelievable how completely in their bubble and brainwashed these people are. But again, this is where we're at. They also said, you know, able to have a conversation without name calling, which is again so laughable. I mean, you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene and so many of these other people. It's like, really? Are you serious? One of them, though, did say that they were out of touch that they were too economically conservative. So that was very interesting. One said consistent, trying to improve things. I mean, yeah, for billionaires. One said more empathetic, trying to go back to core values. Again, laughable, just absolutely rolling on the floor, laughing my ass off. Kind of funny. More empathetic. They are allowing women to die rather than allowing them to get a DNC when their bodies are rejecting their fetus. These are people who forced a woman in a coma to give birth to a child who will never know its mother. But yeah, tell me how the Republicans are the empathetic ones. They are stripping health care away from Americans, including children. They are stripping food taking food out of children's mouths, not just with the SNAP deductions, not just with what they did with the budget bill yesterday and what they're doing in the House, uh, also with the cuts, with these government cuts. You know, the money that was going to farmers that were then giving their food that they were growing, selling it to food banks and to schools for underprivileged families and for starving children. But yeah, it's the Republicans who are so empathetic. These people are brainwashed beyond belief. Like, it's not even just brainwashing. I question if they have brains at this point. I question if they didn't secretly have lobotomies at these MAGA rallies. Seriously, I wonder if maybe there was a brain surgeon who was there and they pulled their freaking brains out. Or if it was like, what was that movie? One of the guys from Key and Peele, Get Out. Remember where they were in the sunken place and like their brains had been taken over, like their consciousness. I'm wondering if they're all in the sunken place. Anyway, they also asked in this focus group about political violence. Now, political violence is not funny, but some of their answers were. They asked them about the Democratic representative who was just murdered. Oh my God, now my brain is fading and I can't think of her name. It'll come to me. Anyway, they asked about the other one, the man who was shot, and his wife was shot as well. All of them believe that this is part of a larger pattern of political violence, but not a single one of them blame Donald Trump. Many of them blame the media, which is absolutely insane. I mean, is the media helping it? Yeah, I would say right-wing media, though, not left-wing media. Not a single one of them also mentioned January 6th, which I find just infuriating and, again, mind-boggling. Like they would mention, people setting cars on fire in Los Angeles, but not one of them mentioned anything that had to do with their right wingers, with the psychos, with the extremists on the right. It's sickening how partisan these people were. They also asked them about deportations. Now, 1 out of the 13 believes that Donald Trump is being more aggressive and over the top compared to previous presidents. That's it. The other 12, no. The other 12 were like, oh no, I think he's just doing what all the other presidents have been doing. I'm not joking. Like, really, people? Really? Let's say Obama, did Obama or Biden have masked ICE agents out in the street, not showing an ID, violently arresting people without a warrant, just tackling people on the street because they have brown skin? Is that what previous presidents did? Did previous presidents, Democratic presidents, deport people who had no criminal history and send them to freaking torture chambers in another country where they're not from to be locked up for the rest of their freaking life when they have literally committed no crime other than the misdemeanor of crossing the border, or some of them who didn't even commit a crime. Some of them came into the US legally using the app that Biden set up for them, the CBP1 app. They were here legally, according to the government, according to what the government said they had to do to follow the rules. And yet they were taken out of our country and put in that hellhole of a prison in El Salvador to never see the light of day again, to never see their family, to never be free again. Is that what you're telling me, MAGA, that Democratic presidents have done? Because that's a fucking lie if that's what you say and that's what you think. Only 2 of these people said that they disagree with how Donald Trump is handling deportations. Only 2 out of the 13. What is being done to these human beings is unconscionable. So I have a video. Here's what 2 of them had to say about why they think that Donald Trump is, crossing a red line or going too far. Take a look at this.
I just feel that that I know he promised that, but I feel like he is trying to meet the number he promised at any cost. Like he said, I'm gonna send back the X amount of illegal immigrants, and so he's not. It's not just the criminals. So I think he's trying to meet a quota.
Okay, Mariana, why do you not approve?
I definitely approve of the border regulations and the actual illegal entry of the country. I don't approve with all the changes to the people that went through the process, and now there's changes, to the asylum and to the protected statuses, because they bet you, we have to provide every single piece of documentation for those who have been through the process. So yeah, those changes I am not too in favor for.
So yeah, it was very clear the majority of these people watch and listen to news that will only confirm their bias. They have no interest in learning anything new. Like I said, they may as well be lobotomized because they just don't get it. They either they don't know, and clearly they don't want to know, right? The information is out there. They could watch my show. They could watch, any show on YouTube that has a left-leaning host, or even, 2 different hosts. They could go watch Breaking Points with, one left host, one right host. They could avail themselves of the information if they so choose, or if they so chose to do so, and they choose not to. They don't want to know, because then they would actually have to do something different. Then they would actually have to make different choices, and they would have to admit that what they're doing is harming people. So, these were probably the worst of all the focus groups that I've listened to. And again, it just was because of how they screen these people and their bias. So we'll see, when things don't materially get better for them, when they finally wake up and realize, hey, we're 9 months into this, a year into this, and groceries still aren't any lower. And I do want to go back to that one woman that I mentioned at the beginning, who I said was just hysterical for all the wrong reasons. She was so set, Donald Trump is improving the economy. And when pressed and asked for, how is he improving the, groceries have gone down and I'm seeing inflation improve, blah, blah, blah. So I will give the organizer or the monitor credit. moderator, excuse me, he did ask these people, like, so what have you seen go down at the grocery store? She couldn't really say. At first, she was just at a loss, and then she just kind of pulled things out of thin air or out of her ass. And she's like, oh, well, dairy and meat. It's like, no, it hasn't. No, it has not. And in fact, your groceries are about to get more expensive, not only because of the tariffs, but because of the deportations. Because I'm going to be doing a show in a couple days about all of these deportations that are taking place and how it is absolutely going to make produce, especially, skyrocket because people are afraid to show up for work. Immigrants are not showing up to pick the food that you are going to buy in the store. So we have crops that are now going dead, that are just dying on the vine, dying in the field, dying on the tree. And farmers who now are going to have, they could be using this food to feed hungry people. And instead, it's going to waste. But then on top of that, they don't have anybody working for them. And, they're not going to get income that they were counting on. So the farmers are going to get screwed. Their income is going to be drastically reduced. And then what you do get, because it's a matter of supply and demand, there's now going to be very little supply and way too much demand, far greater demand than what we're going to have. We are all going to pay more at the grocery store. So good job, MAGA. Good job. Yeah. How exactly is this making America great again? It's a joke. That slogan is a joke. MAGA will always be a joke. And in the future, we will look back on the phrase MAGA or the term MAGA. It will be synonymous with KKK. It will be synonymous with white supremacy. It will be synonymous with Nazis, brown coat or brown shirts, jackbooted thugs. That's what it will be known for in the future. So, good job. Your children, your grandchildren will think of you as a piece of shit. Enjoy. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.